welcome. Welcome to the No Name Yet podcast. That is the podcast with no name. And on tonight's show for her first appearance is the woman who would leave work for a taco, Melinda.
I most absolutely probably would.
Right,
You're not supposed to agree with him on this show. Don't let him in.
And also on tonight's show is the other guy on the show, the guy who is excited about moves in black music but can't even play the spoons. Mo!
Can you play the spoons? That's a real question. Can you play the spoons?
Kind of.
He said kind of.
I never needed to play the spoons in my life. It wasn't in music class.
I thought that was more of like a, in the deep South Mississippi kind of thing.
Yeah,
somebody's playing the banjo in the washboard.
I don't know. When I was growing up, like uncles and friends of my dad used to proudly show me they could play the spoons.
Are you Irish?
Half.
He's half Irish and Italian. He even got a family crest going on. I'm like, wow, you Irish, bro.
Wow.
Yep.
For real.
Yep, the Moran family crest. There it is, right there.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Mhm.
really nice.
It's so funny because I told him when I met him, I was like, I always thought that because African, tribes and stuff like that, they similar vibes like you see the different countries. So I always thought it would be cool if African Americans adopted the same type of thing for our families to build unity and just like actually put more pride into the family dynamic. I think
have like a family
family crest, and we have
flag and that.
I'm still designing my family crest, but I will. That's any tattoo. That's the one tattoo I will get in my life.
Well, I mean, to the African American community's credit, when at different celebrations and meetings and organizational events and with colors and decorations, and
it's true. We do it anyway.
I don't know a group of people that does it quite as well.
Fantastic. Yeah. We're
Right.
We're spectacular. We're spectacular over here. There we go.
When I was in the AME church, I got so confused about what color to wear to what service. I was showing up with the wrong color tie, and I finally got it down eventually. But it is nice when people are dressed up and there's uniformity and organization. I began to enjoy it.
I got my crest down to 2 colors so far, purple and gold.
Okay.
Because I think it would just look good on the brown. Yes, exactly. But I just think that it's going to look great on the brown skin too. I was like, it has to look good on brown.
So I work with Melinda at a hospital in a city.
In a city. We don't need to be doxxed.
And thank you for coming on the show. Occasionally, Melinda and I talk in the hallway, and she was just mentioning this and mentioning that, and it was kind of reminiscent of some of your viewpoints, Mo. And she thought that my point of view on a couple subjects was a little bit more woke than she anticipated they would be for this white chaplain.
You're welcome, Melinda.
So I thought we'd get the two of you together and we just maybe throw some things out and have the two of you do the majority of the talking.
Let's go. I love meeting another fellow Black woman or brother that knows what they're talking about and is keeping up with everything and cares about the culture and how we develop and how we grow.
Absolutely.
Amen. And if you don't mind, the views expressed in the next couple of minutes are not necessarily those of the guests, but
nope. It's not our show.
I do find it necessary to satisfy my own spirit to give the Green Party she's going for the Green Party endorsement for President Jill Stein. This looks like she's going to get it, but I've voted for her in 2012 and in 2016 when she ran. Ms. Stein and her running mates had a habit of getting themselves arrested during her campaigns.
Okay.
The
I like her
first
already.
time she was trying to, her and Sherry Honkala, her vice president running mate, got arrested outside of Hofstra when they tried to enter the presidential debates, which of course we know third parties are not invited to. And so this week at Washington University in Missouri, I think it was St. Louis, Missouri, Jill Stein was for fairness, I'm trying to stay away from the word assault, but was roughed up by the police and was arrested for maintaining a protection circle around the student encampment at Washington University. She was invited by the students to come onto the campus.
Was this one of the pro-Palestinians protesting?
Right, yes.
Okay.
So in a normal form, Ms. Stein got arrested again running for president. So the power of the people.
I love this. I love this already.
And every time I said, I'm gonna wait and see how things go, and I'm following Jill Stein. Something like this happens, and I get inspired. And so where I was 90% Jill Stein, I sit before all of you 100% Jill Stein. I will be voting for her in November, and not knowing the political positions of everybody that does watch and listen to the No Name Yet podcast, I would like to say that that Jill Stein does support the original version of the Green New Deal. That was a Green Party idea, and different planks to her platform that are considered progressive and liberal. And to my conservative friends, depending on where you live in the United States, if you live in a place like I live, which is a democratic dictatorship, doesn't matter how I vote in the federal elections in November, that Paul Tonko will be elected my congressman, and the Democratic nominee will win the electoral votes here in New York. So if Jill happens to be running ahead of her third party opponents, I ask you, my conservative friends, to please vote for her, because people are like, it's a wasted vote. She'll never win. The point is not that she wins the presidential election. The point is that she gets 5% nationally, and then she can be on the debate stage, or a candidate in the Green Party can be on the debate stage the next 4 years for the presidential election. So I encourage
we need to start preparing for the next 4. That's very true.
For those people who don't want to vote for the Republican or the Democrat, I encourage you to look at the third party or the independent ticket, and to pick somebody that reflects your views, in the hopes that the person who reflects your views gets 5% nationally. Amen. Amen. And I would like to just share this briefly. Our podcast is going to drop on Sunday, but I'm showing this for Mo and Melinda, that this evening there is a virtual rally for Jill Stein, and it's with Columbia professor Jeffrey Sachs. And I don't know.
Okay, now this is going to be actually interesting. I just watched the video of the police coming in You know, I've been in that camp. I've been on that campus. So to see it be ran through like that, he said that there were people hosting that wasn't a part of the university, inside the buildings. So what, over 200 arrests or
Yeah,
more?
a lot of people arrested.
And bruised, riot gear and everything.
What I'd like to point out is that Jill Stein has been endorsed by Jeffrey Sachs, who
Interesting.
is a Columbia University professor and has a biography that could go on for a long time. He was in Russia at the time that the Soviet Union fell. That this is a man that has done a lot of work uh, uh, as far as foreign policy for this country. He is an ethical man. He is a moral man. And you can hear him speak on several different platforms um, of independent journalists and people who are doing it on YouTube and Rumble because they're not allowed to speak in the mainstream. And Jeffrey Sachs is one of the people that I look to for some sanity. And I am so glad that he has endorsed Jill Stein for president.
Okay.
So I know I took up a lot of your time.
So he's going against, wait, before we continue, he's going against his bosses. Or was he a alumni? Well, he's still a professor right now.
He's a professor. Yeah, I mean
So he's okay.
He has I mean he's a very polite individual.
Okay.
You know, diplomatic individual because he was a diplomat. But he has spoken on the irony of him being a professor in Columbia University, as well as Hillary Clinton and now Victoria Nuland. He has believed in diplomacy instead of war, and now on the faculty of Columbia are two of the most intense war hawks that the United States has ever known.
Okay.
So when we were coming on, Mo made a comment about there's some big moves in black music, and
Yes, it is.
Melinda agreed and co-signed, and Rich has no idea what they're talking about. So please take the floor.
Melinda, would you like to go first or should I?
So you were asking earlier about how I like to stir the pot about things. It's more so in a general sense. I like to see everybody's views on everything. So when I see my peers on social media going off about it, like one of my best friends, she's Team Drake. And then one of my other best friends, he's Team Kendrick. So here's me, you know, I'll share a post and I'll make sure I tag them in it or mention them in a comment under it, you know. So there was the whole talking about how Drake doesn't have the N-word privilege because of he's half white and all this, but it's like, look at your wife.
Yeah.
And your baby is just as light as Drake's. So I mean, I like to stir the pot a little bit on that.
So what's exciting, and I'm gonna touch more upon this in other videos, is that when this song dropped,
could you fill our listeners in who might not
I
know
forget we have a bunch of white
it?
we do have white listeners, and we went straight into the spitting game. So for our white listeners, and I'm sure there are some white boys out there that actually knows what the hell is going on with music because they're cool. Right now we are having a competition between two of the greatest rappers currently performing, writing, some say not writing right now. Two titans right now, Drake and Kendrick Lamar. Many of you are probably listening to this and are familiar more with Drake. And the reason why you know more about Drake is typically more mainstream. He's a performer, in my personal opinion. He's a performer where Kendrick is an artist, right? He is more than just a performer. He mirrors a lot of the Black culture, but not just the Black culture, but a lot of what men think and how men have developed. Which is why, like, you know, it's so important. That's why so many men are in his side, because he's representing the growth in our, say, mental health, our development, how we've wanted to come out of less of the violence and more into the awakeness of the wokeness, into enlightenedness of the Black culture. So he's representing that, while Drake, as a performer, he acts out different characters within our culture. He basically takes inspiration throughout the culture itself and applies it into his music, but there's always a sense of no genuineness. It's just performing based. That's my personal opinion. What do you think about that, Melinda?
Well, I do agree. I do believe Drake is more of a performer, because there is a lot of ghostwriting. It's not to say he doesn't have classics or whatever,
Yeah.
because there is a big argument right now saying he doesn't have classics. He does have classics.
No, he does have classics.
Whether or not he wrote it himself, they're classic.
Exactly. But he said the words. It was his voice.
Right. He did the work. He did the majority of the work, besides writing. So I don't know.
You said the thing about the colorist thing, and I was gonna touch on that because I wasn't prepared. But there's the lyrics in the beginning. A lot of people, and I thought it was a colorism thing, and I thought it was whack if he was making that approach on a Euphoria. I was like, we can't keep doing that as Black folk, doing the house and the field anymore. Like that has to end. Like
absolutely, that light skin versus dark skin stuff gotta go, because
it's stupid.
We can't come together and do what we gotta do to make things better if we're gonna stay divided like that, because that's a big division.
And that's the stupidest thing to have division on, right? It's color, right?
It really is. It's like saying, well, you're not the right kind of white because you're a hillbilly, and we're privileged. It's basically the same thing.
And and for the white folk that has experienced that, because I've met country kids that say, yeah, they don't feel comfortable around city white folks, and so I see the mindset. But for us, we have been farmed, abused, taken, like it's too much. We cannot keep that approach going on. But with many coverage on TikTok, that's why I stayed quiet for so long, because it was amazing. People broke it down, and what he was really attacking was the fact that he is an actor. He is actually somebody played a clip of Drake saying he associates with being Black. And I thought that was interesting because I never saw that clip. And I was like, oh, so Kendra, you really did your research. So when you went and heard him say, I associate as Black, I was like, well, if you associate as one of us, then you don't need to be part of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't say I'm Black. You don't say I'm a Black man. You say I associate as Black. We can't associate as Black.
Right.
The rest of us are just Black. When we walk into the doctor's office, they go, African American. We got to go, no, actually, right. I'm actually from Trinidad. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm from Jamaica. Oh, really? Oh, I just thought you were Black. We experienced that. So for you to say the words I associate, that just adds that tells us where your mindset is. So when I've heard that, I was like, okay, so you was calling out the factual things of what you see in yourself. And if that's the case, we got to take your Black card away. You can't say it or no more, brother.
Is the Black card that binary?
It is.
Okay.
There is no it's what about it, right?
There's
no intermediate card or not.
No, I mean, no, listen, look, we make the jokes with Irish people because we think Irish people are the N-words of the white community because, y'all took a minute to get out of slavery. So we'll joke around and be like, yo, we'll give the N-word to the Irish folk because y'all know what it is. Y'all survived on potatoes. We know what that feels like. So we give a lot of respect and love. And plus that, like the Irish community, that's why I get really upset with those who don't understand the history. The Irish community was very close with the Black community all over the country. We were excluded from the same places. A lot of Black folks in New York City, check the statistics, are like part 25 to 15%, 30. Irish. There's a lot of black folk walking around New York with Irish blood in them.
Absolutely. There's lots of Black Irish.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a lot of black people with Irish names.
Exactly, because we
Right.
married into each other. We were the only we were the only they the only ones that understood us, and we understood them. So that's one of those situations where, for me personally, I always give extra love to my Irish, you, Eddie, because at the end of the day, y'all one of us. Y'all are allies. And for those who don't know that, you need to sit down and read a book. Like, please
Right.
read.
All right.
Like, immediately.
So what's the bottom line on this?
It's still going on. Kendrick just released another song. Listen to it. I'll Pastor, I'm gonna get you on it. You're gonna be a part of the wave. Pastor, you about to be a part of the wave. You about to know what's going on. This is very important because this changes the dynamic of what music is going to stand out for Black people, right? Are we going to go with the enlightened music, where there's more God mentioned in it, spirituality mentioned in it, growth, mental health, psychology, telling the truth of our faults as men? Because that was why Kendrick is such, Mr. Morale was such a big album, the greatest
Right.
album, in my opinion, last year, because
Right.
it influenced us to speak to one another. Or are we going to remain where Drake is at, where he just surfed the waves, Kendrick makes the waves? So where are we going to approach as a community? Are we just going to keep with the facade and acting as if it's all good when it's not?
Right. That's a conversation I have all the time too.
See what I'm talking about?
Right.
Okay, so I
What
wanted
did
to
you?
go
I
ahead,
was
Mo.
going to ask her, what is she sensing from the community? Being in your town, you do have a great demographic of our people. So what is the sentiment going on over there?
Well,
And
around
you're a
where
little
I'm
younger
at,
than me too.
right. So around where I'm at now, um, it really just depends on your community and who you know. Because I see a lot of we have a big population of Guyanese people, and they all stick together.
Yes, they do.
Same thing like with Mexicans, because in my hometown where I grew up, like the Mexicans, they stuck together and did
Mm-hmm.
what they had to do. They were buying whole houses, and
Mm-hmm.
they,
Still are.
they big up in themselves little by little. And the same thing with the Guyanese people here. And you do get certain groups of African Americans that do sit there and try to help themselves, but I do see more of the foreigners doing that more than we
Yeah.
do in America. Because honestly, from what I observe, we're very opinionated, entitled modern day slaves. That's
That's
what it really is right now.
interesting. Okay. I see where you're
And
going. I see your thought
when I
process.
say modern day slave, like we're a slave to the internet, to the media,
Yes.
to everybody want to be like what they see in the music videos and on TV and on Instagram. Not even realizing half of those people are really not even like that. Like
Of course
they're
not.
like, a lot of that is for views and money.
Mm-hmm.
People aren't even doing half the stuff they're putting content on.
No.
And we're still a slave to the dollar right now. Like we're getting pennies while the elites is making the big coins. Like,
Mm-hmm. Are
and
you
for us,
I was going to ask
not
you,
that.
are you having deep conversations with people around your age group? Because when I grew up, it wasn't, no one, I was such a deep thinker. Everybody wanted you to shut up. Like, why are you
Yes.
thinking too
So
much?
I thought like that as a younger person. There was a few of my peers that kind of was on my wavelength, but as we getting older now, and more things are coming to light, and the internet, so
Mm-hmm.
more information can spread more. You know, now they're starting to, now we can have those conversations, because now you're starting to realize like what I was trying to say. I'm not as crazy. And I had this conversation with my dad, because back in 2020 when COVID hit, and really when everything started hitting the fan with Epstein's Island and all this stuff,
Yes.
that's when I started really like trying to put people on game. I'm like, this is really the time where y'all really need to start waking up and paying attention to what's going on. And then everyone's just like, oh, you sounding like a conspiracy theorist. I'm just like, All right. No, I'm just
See that,
I'm
I
just
guess
putting
that's
you
pretty
on.
universal for no matter who you are.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I do
Yeah.
believe like us as Americans, Black Americans, we honestly should just we do need to get it together a little bit more as terms into coming together and being a village. And me and my friends are trying to do that. And if more people can start getting into doing that, like, and that's the government trying to prevent that because they know once
Yes.
we all can click together, stop beefing, and then once we can really start actually coming together with white people for real, it's over.
Oh
There's
yeah.
there's there's nothing that they're gonna be able to do.
Oh
They're
yeah.
they're yeah, it's then they're trying to prevent that so hard right now.
And TikTok is the biggest platform that's being attacked because half of our country are having conversations. You see it every day. You see a white man arguing, but they're not arguing out of hatred. It's out of like, oh, let me give you this knowledge. Oh, share me this knowledge. We're having a
Right.
conversation and people are loving the voices. We're loving white folk voices, Spanish folk voices, black folk voices. Everybody voices heard, and we're just like building a community. And now we're not really looking at each other. It feels good to not really be the target. Because I feel like
Right.
4 years ago, we were still the target. It does not feel like we're the target anymore. And that's
Right.
interesting.
After that whole big thing about Black Lives Matter movement, after that came and went, that's when it started to die down, I believe.
Hmm.
And we're all just people instead of viewing us as differences.
Yep. Now we're looking at our government as we should have always been looking at our government.
Hello. Hello.
Passy, what
So,
was your question?
I want to show you something that was in the USA Today.
Okay.
So this is what I wanted to show you. This is a guide to the 2024 elections in the USA Today, and what I was surprised is the number of candidates that they included on this voter guide.
Oh God. I feel like I'm just gonna be a bunch of people I've never seen
Well, we don't
So,
know
besides that
now.
one.
so how are we feeling about Donald Trump?
I mean, he's excuse my language. He's a big jackass, but I mean, business wise, he was making some things click.
I'm not gonna
But
lie to
all in
you.
all,
Yep. Keep
but
going.
all in all, it's just he's a very ignorant person, and I don't know if we should be able to. I don't know. I don't think we should put him back. I mean, if anything, we could keep him close by for business advice.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. Made a lot of money with this man in charge. I'm not gonna lie to you.
And he
A
was, he
lot of
was taking
people.
care of the people. He was giving us them stimulus checks.
He
He was
was.
putting that money out. But
Mhm.
that was really the most I could say he did. He was really bugging
Mhm.
otherwise.
That's true. I mean, out of the two candidates, but it's just gonna be another 4 years of living with the Kardashians. Oh, in the White House. So it's gonna be a TV show regardless. So I mean, if I
Right.
gotta go through the same bullshit anyway, I might as well pick the guy that's gonna actually keep me entertained for 4 years.
So
Honestly,
on the Democratic ticket, we have
he
Joe
sounds
Biden and Marianne Williamson.
he don't
Uh,
need Joe Biden. I'm sorry. He needs to retire, take his dementia medication, and just
Mhm.
live the rest of his life peacefully.
I'm waiting for
He's
the
done.
next. I'm waiting for the next time when he just comes out on the grass of the White House and just starts saying the N word just out loud. Just like that would just be such a great moment for me. I'd be like, he's losing his mind, and then them telling us that he needs to stay in there after just losing his mind. That's what.
Yes, it's beyond me, and people don't realize like this really speaks as a whole as for our country, how ignorant a lot of us are because I don't know I don't see these problems happening too much in other countries. I mean, granted, they're gonna have their sides just like we do, but I don't
Mhm.
think they have this amount of issue.
Nah, not like
all right,
this.
and have either of you followed Marianne Williamson?
Nah, I don't know who she is.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, she's a billionaire, kind of a spiritual guru,
Oh
and
God, a billionaire.
Yeah, and
A billionaire and a spiritual guru. I don't
That
know. That
don't
doesn't
even
really click.
mix.
yeah,
Yeah, I would say that doesn't.
Marianne, where she raised an eyebrow for me in 2020. Like she said some things that really needed to be said. Um, I've seen some interviews with her this time around, and she's not even a possibility for me.
Oh my God. So is she just hearing the voices of the dead children she bombed and now she's
I don't know. All right.
Obviously,
So
it must be.
this is what surprised me is that the USA Today Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is not third party. He is running as an independent.
okay?
But let's not
Of
split
course.
hairs. So there's Robert F. Kennedy, Jill Stein, and Cornel West. What are your feelings on RFK?
For me personally, I feel
I
like he gets too much negative connotations. I mean, they keep saying he's crazy, but he's very educated. He's I mean, other than his voice thing going on, I really can't understand him. So I feel like he needs a translator if he comes to the White House. But I like him.
Okay.
I really don't know too much about RFK, but I do know if he could be anything like JFK was, because I've heard JFK was a good president, and I do believe he was a little bit on the woke side, and that's why he got took out.
Of course.
So I mean, if he could be, if he's leaning towards that direction, I would give that a thumbs up.
Yeah, he's a little
I definitely have to
complicated.
do more research on him.
Yeah, I would do some research on him. I
Mhm.
like his position on Ukraine, but not necessarily on Israel Gaza.
Oh, what's his opinion on them?
Well, I don't want to articulate my opinion
Oh no, I want his opinion.
too in detail. So I
This
would
is
go
what
ahead
this
and
is
do your
for.
research. What's that?
I said, this is what this is for. This is for
Well,
opinions
I
and
know.
views.
Listen.
It's okay to stir the pot. It's okay to stir the pot. That's how you finish cooking.
Listen, the way he keeps going, he's gonna get excommunicated from all the white folks in his town. He's gonna have to move to Atlanta, Louisiana.
Well, I'll just say that Robert F. Kennedy tends to come down on the pro shut the protests downside.
That's
Okay.
interesting. That's interesting.
So and then there are people on the left that are looking to Robert F. Kennedy who has articulated an intention on smashing the CIA into 1,000 pieces,
Oh, we
like
need to do that.
his uncle JFK wanted to do.
Oh, we need to.
Yeah, right.
Um,
See, that's what I'm saying. If he's leaning more into the views of JFK, I honestly don't think it'd be a bad idea. But I still have to do more research on
yeah,
him just to,
yeah. I would research it and parse out those things that might be yay or nays for you. I know that there are people on the left that really want him to get elected, and are counseling people not to be one issue voters, but we all have
Yeah.
to make our own decisions. Correct?
Somebody
absolutely.
needs to destroy this permanent state thing going on.
Yeah. So, do you know anything about
Honestly,
Jill?
no, I do have to do my research on most of the election because I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie to you. The past couple of years, I didn't vote at all. I just honestly, and my views on the government and this democratic and all just politics in general. There's the word. Politics in general, honestly, is it's really just a facade. Because in all reality, they have a boss, and those bosses all sit in a chair somewhere, planning
Hmm.
on what's going on in the
Right.
world. But that's a story for another time if you're interested.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and just
Mhm.
remember though, voting third party really makes the
A difference.
Democrats angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
And it does. same with these people. I honestly, to be honest with you, similar mindset with her is I care more about this my own spiritual growth and like connecting to people within my community first. Both in my community and outside of my community. That's why I'm on a show like this with you. That's more important to me. Independent definitely got to change my voting since I moved like 3 times in like 2 years. But these people are just, other than our RFK, the rest of them seem like Jill seems interesting. I think I want to actually find more about her. But other than that, I'm not really confident about this year either.
Now,
Right,
do either of
honestly.
you have an opinion on Cornel West?
I don't even know who the hell that is.
Yeah, I don't know who he is either. I'm gonna have to do my research. Maybe we can come back to this conversation in another
Okay, all
podcast.
right.
I
Well,
wouldn't
I'll just
mind.
say one thing about Cornel West. He is a professor, at Union Theological Seminary. He's been out and about as
So he's
a
super religious.
at a he
That's red
well,
flags for me, baby.
I mean, he is a theology. I think he's a theology professor.
Mm-hmm.
He's been like a contributor on CNN, on MSNBC. You know, he's made the rounds throughout the years. He calls everybody, he call you brother Mo and sister Melinda, or Melinda, and um, he's
I think
always
that's
had
like the
something to
one thing I
say.
could agree with religion is the brother and sister thing.
Yeah.
I just think that's the only thing I can agree with. Because yeah, to an extent, but
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
the thing about
Mm-hmm.
his campaign that really upset me was that he did not have all his ducks in a row. They were able to find information that he owes back child support. He
That's why
went
he out here saying brother.
he went on he went on. I, if you're going to go, this is my opinion. All right, I voted for Ralph Nader back in 2000. I watched Ralph Nader be blacklisted from polite society because of that run for president and be blamed for the Democratic loss that year. I've been voting third party for a generation. And I know that if you're going to put yourself out there as a minority candidate and try to upset the apple cart, so to
Oh yeah,
speak,
you
that
gotta
they
be
are going
squeaky
to
clean.
dig through your life and they are going to smear you as much as they possibly can. And the fact that
Mhm.
he even got into the race with unpaid child support, to me, is unexcusable, because
Seriously.
all you're doing,
Unpaid child support is crazy.
right,
Sorry, that is
you know, and then he goes on CNN, and then he goes on CNN. And so he's been given these softball exchanges because he wasn't a threat to anybody, and people kind of liked his folksy delivery and this and that. Well, Anderson Cooper had him for lunch. And
Yeah.
I watched excerpts of that interview, and I was so angry and so sick to my stomach, saying, "What is he doing? He's making
I,
a he's making a fool out of himself, and he is not helping the left. If you're not going
okay.
to be serious in this game that is cut, I mean,
It's
it
cutthroat.
is cutthroat.
You got millionaires
Then
and billionaires put a
don't get
hit on your
into it.
head.
Don't be a clown, because they're
You
going
Listen.
to
see,
try to
people was
make you be
dying
a
behind them
clown."
emails with Hillary.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joke. I wouldn't even want to. I wouldn't even, as much as I would want to help the people, I would never want to run for politics.
Mm-hmm. Same here. I got too much bad things I be doing out here to let y'all know what I be doing out here. Damn, like you
Hello,
want
hello.
Yeah, we've
like
already We've already decided that Mo can absolutely not run for political
Oh
office.
no, absolutely not.
I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to either because they're gonna know like I'm gonna be in there to try to take everybody down. They're gonna know it. They're gonna be like,
I'm doing
oh,
that and I'm having a ball. You know what I'm saying? If they
at
talking
the
about,
same
I'm
time.
like, y'all was all worried about what was the president that brought Shorty into the White House?
What was that?
Well, who was the president that brought Shorty into the White House?
You talking about Bill Clinton?
Yeah, yeah. Just be out here wilding.
Yeah, he definitely was wild. I don't know how Hillary was handling that.
I'm like, yo, I don't know.
She-
No. I just turn it to the White House into a playhouse. Like it is what it is because they doing it anyway. But all jokes aside, I don't need it.
Okay. All right. Let's go on to something else. I
What you
wanted
got?
to ask the two of you, is climate change real or not real?
Yes.
Yes, and there's one thing I've been wanting to speak on for a minute because people don't understand, and they put it in the news. They put it in our face like the government does any other time. They made an artificial sun. Like we have like two, 3 suns in our, in our
Solar
atmosphere.
system? Oh,
In our
Yes,
solar
there
system?
we go. There we go. Thank you. I'm it's trying to all come out.
I love
And
it.
then
I
on
never
top
heard
of
of this
that,
one, but this is gonna be fun. Keep going.
so
Keep going.
but it was in the new China made their own artificial sun. And then
Yes.
you got like how Dubai had that crazy storm. The scientists even said they did something to the atmosphere.
Cloud seeding, people are predicting.
They seeded it. They seeded the weather to make it, and they underestimated what they were doing, and they made a big storm and tore everything up. You got the HARP machine that it's making clouds. Like I don't even think most of these clouds in the sky are naturally even made anymore. You
Mm.
got the chem lines that's dropping all kinds of things in the air, doing all kinds of things. Like you got to look at our seasons. It took forever for the weather to break and start
We're
getting warm.
still seeing snow fall in certain locations.
Exactly. Then you got unexplained things in areas. You got weather in areas that shouldn't have that kind of weather. You
Fishes
got
appearing up and dead.
places that never had natural disasters before get natural disasters.
Mhm.
You got so much crazy things going on, and then I don't know, and then I honestly think it's just the Earth resetting because once you have all these different theories. There's a polar shift. We're overdue for
Yes, we
the
are
polar
overdue.
shift, and
We're
then
really overdue.
we're overdue for that, and um then it's just saying like the Earth is just resetting itself, trying to get back to its natural state. Because honestly, if you pay attention and you do your research back in like the 1500s, the map for Antarctica, it was tropical. Like when you looked on the map, it was a tropical place. Like I honestly like they've been messing with the world for a good minute, more than we realize. So
You know,
So
and
let me ask you this, just a quick side question. Are there NAZIs in a secret base in Antarctica?
it's
I
a
wouldn't put it
possibility.
past it.
It's
I
a
wouldn't put it
theory.
past
I
it.
wouldn't put it past it either.
Okay.
Honestly, what I believe in Antarctica, what I believe, like we're not allowed on Antarctica because we're not
No one is.
scientists. But honestly, so this is like one of the biggest things I tell people. Antarctica is really just the ice wall because if you pay attention, it basically circles around us. We have the North Pole and the South Pole, and then usually anything around our continents is cold, icy waters. So it genuinely is an ice wall. And honestly, people there a pilot has said he flew through Antarctica anyway, and he saw trees, he saw grass and the snow, he saw temples, he saw a pyramid, he saw statues. So there was civilization there. They just don't want us to know.
Yeah, and it's possible because right, they found like viruses and things out there like that. And we know there are species of animals, especially in the sea, that hibernate, that like that like under the water that they hibernate for a certain amount of time. Crocodiles, certain lizards do this. So when people talk about species, even if it's not aliens, it's definitely
Well,
old ass creatures.
absolutely, and my thing is, one, we don't even know, we know nothing about, we know more about space than we do about the ocean. We know theoretically nothing about the ocean. We know
Nothing.
like this much. Second, I honestly believe a lot of these new species we're finding is coming from wherever the ice wall is open,
Yeah.
wherever Antarctica. Because honestly, why else can't we go there? If I'm an explorer and I'm trying to explore the world, why can't I go to Antarctica? You're not about to tell me it's too cold when I can just buy some stuff to go survive.
Yeah, I could be prepared.
They right. We can prepare ourselves. We could bring our own supplies. So why can't we go over there? There's something they don't want us to know.
And
And
in fact, all the governments agree that not to do war on there, not to test weapons over there, but you can bring all the researchers there. So
there's something there they don't want to, like, I'm telling you, there's pyramids there. There's stuff they don't want us to know. And honestly, I'm not saying I believe it, but it kind of makes sense. I've seen, it's what it's called, the Terra Infinita map.
oh wow. Oh,
That's
you do. Okay. I can
I
see
do
why Pastor
I
said what he
does my
said.
research. I
Okay.
does my research. So it kind of does make sense because I really honestly, and I might sound like every conspiracy
What
theorist, I
does that
really don't
map
believe
show?
it shows. So I can send it to you guys too when we're done.
Mm-hmm.
So basically it is a big map, and it shows lands, all different kinds of lands. They look like islands, but when you really pay attention and zoom into these lands, ours, we're in the dead smack in the middle, and then it's an ice wall with like two or three openings, and then there's more land around it, another wall, and then you come out more, and then you can travel to the lands. Instead of there being space, it's said that, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, they're actually lands we can travel to through the water instead of having to go through space. And in a sense, it kind of does. In a sense, I can see where people can say that, because if you are somebody that knows and or believes about the firmament,
Mm-hmm.
you know how it's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all water.
Yeah.
So it does make sense. And you know, um, Elon Musk, whether he says he was trolling or not, I don't know what his opinion is when he was actually tweeting about it. But like, there were a couple of times when he was launching those SpaceX things into space. He even put on Twitter, he was like, we can't get through the firmament. We can't crack through the firmament. And
But yeah, but it's funny because the firmament is mentioned multiple times in different religious texts and stuff like that, like within
absolutely, even in our Bible, even in the
yes,
Bible,
I
like
was just about to say that. Yep.
I'm gonna say,
Mm-hmm.
chaplain, if you open up your Bible right now, it even says that God opened up the firmament and let the heavens rain down, and that's why if we were flooded for the 40 days and 40 nights.
And
And they're also saying that it's connected, like that story is basically the same story as the Epic of Gilgamesh as well.
I like her. I
But
can never talk to these people about this stuff. They look at me like I'm crazy.
yes, you have to know who you're talking to, because
I
there's
know.
plenty of times I've had somebody was asking me, like, I was talking to a Muslim girl at my job, and she was, asking me my views on things, and I was explaining to her about these things. She was like, that's very interesting to look at, and she was like, maybe I'll do my research on that. I was like, go ahead. Like, I'm not telling you don't believe in your religion, because whatever you believe in
No.
and whatever helps you become a better person and enlighten yourself, you do that.
It could all just
It's
be the
always good to have
anarchy, being the anarchy, and
right, right. You never know. They say the Anunnaki walking around right now,
listen, their
and
genetics is
that's
in
why
us
things
at
is
the end of the
turning up.
day. We're
Now,
just
now
the products of
Absolutely.
tell
their
me what that is.
Go
So the
ahead, because I love her
Anunnaki
talking
are
about it. Love it.
so the Anunnaki are these beings. They're really big beings. They came to the earth to mine for gold, and they got sick of doing it themselves, basically. So they had created us, and they taught us how to mine for gold. And then once they
Yep.
got enough, they were like, here's the basics on how to live life. Here's what you're supposed to do. This is how we do this. This is what you're supposed to da 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 da. And then they just left us here.
They're,
And then, it was, they said
yep.
they were coming back at some point, like, and they say that they find Anunnaki, like, giants, and like they found this really big giant. They say it's a giant, but some people are saying it's an Anunnaki. He has all of this sacred jewelry on. He has a sacred box that's sitting on top of him while he's buried. He has a crown. He looks more petrified than he does decompose. And they're
Yes.
saying, like, it's a sleeping, like it's that body is in a cryogenic slumber.
There are
Well,
species of aliens basically that they basically in their star system went to war with each other. They similar things. Two of the groups split up from each other. Split up. They came down here. They were not supposed to they were not supposed to do what they were doing, but basically they're the creators of like the Atlantic. We talk about Atlantic all the time.
Atlantis or
oh
Atlantis,
yes,
yes.
Atlantis. Right.
Yes.
I
So
honestly don't believe Atlantis went underwater. I just think what happened was they kind of going through what we were going through. They got too technologically advanced.
yes. They remember how I told you one time I sent this whole thing that archaeologists they found this energy source in Africa where it was like they realized they
Yes,
studied and
almost like vibranium. They
yes,
found
but
like
it
pretty
was
much
like
vibranium.
yeah, and it was like nuclear, and it was this big machine, and they were like, this is like a nuclear power plant, but it's clean source energy, and they couldn't figure out how that happened, right? So one of the theories with that is, and it's been a theory going on, is that the world has been nuked multiple times. Like all the
Absolutely.
deserts that you see today, they're not deserts because of corrosion or anything else like that. It was a constant of wars happening, and they just basically nuclear reactions and everything. Because if you dig your hand into the sand in Africa, you can deep enough, you can start touching glass, and that only happens when it's a certain temperature, usually associated with radiation over 3,000 degrees. So we start to see a lot of these things. And plus, there's older text in all the biblical texts you see modern day talking about the Anunnakis. So from Egypt to the Indians to ancient
well,
Egypt
the
to what was
Bible
happening
talks
with the
about
natives.
giants.
The Bible,
Well, they talk about Nephilim. They talk
yes,
about fallen
yes,
angels and their creations. The
yes,
Anunnaki are different.
yes. The
But could
association,
they be the same thing?
yes, that it's some people theorize that. See, the whole thing about anarchy is that this is one of the theory people believe about with they were the gods, right? They got egotistical and they were just warring with each other, right, on
Right.
Earth. They warred with each
Enki
other.
and Enlil.
One of the gods, one of these kings at the time, he wanted to control everything. Because the way it is a cycle. So every few cycles, a different king is chosen to rule over. So one king goes to sleep, another one wakes up, he prepares, he makes sure, but this one king wanted to rule the world, and he went around defacing and saying, I am the only God. So a lot of people go into the Bible, for example, and they say, the God that's in the Bible is one of these Anunnakis. He is the reason why the Bible is here today, because he went around the world defacing the pyramids, all the evidence of other gods, and saying, I am the only one, you will serve me. And the reason why it is that why is this, if this being is almighty and everything else, why is it that this being needs you to sacrifice things to him? So, and then there's a lot of text, really old text, saying all these things and talking about these beings, alien beings that came along and how they genetically tapped us up. Like even the 120 years, scientists have found out today that yes, technically humans are supposed to have 120 years, but we have a cap on our genetic chromosomes. We have one chromosome left that was taken away, and they're like, okay, why is there a cap on this? So that's where a lot of people are getting these theories of like, okay, so somebody had touched our genetics and played around with it, and that's where the
Well,
Anunnaki comes in, and that's one of the theories.
There was this one theory that was very interesting to me, and it was about basically aliens, were basically mixing genes with all these different animals until they
Mm-hmm.
stumbled upon monkeys or apes, and then they said that's how, no offense, but that's how they say Caucasians were made, and that's why they're and
Yes.
melanated people were
Oh,
more so made
who's
by
that
Anunnaki.
comedian? Paul, what's his name? Paul. He died just recently. Black
Ah, damn it.
comedian.
Ah,
You know who I mean?
I believe
Yes.
so. I believe so.
Well,
Mm-hmm.
he points out that apes and chimpanzees have straight hair, not kinky hair.
Yeah, it's true though.
And
And when you shave them off, they
another
look white.
And another thing is they were also saying it's always the hair, the way your guys' skin is. You guys can't even sit in the sun without getting burnt up, having some kind of reaction. It's not common where you see melanated people go, oh, I got sunburn, or I got skin cancer from the sun.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's
But
why like and it's odd. It is odd, and I've thought about this as a child. I won't, I was not walking around with this, but it is odd that y'all are a species of beings that can't handle the sun. That is, most creatures
and
have a whole thing
they try to back
associated
it
with
up
that.
as, because Caucasians came from the Caucasus Mountains, so their skin color is more
Colder
made for cloudier, not as sunny, colder
and
weather, and
cold
we're made,
environment. Yeah.
and melanated people are more so for the hotter, sunnier climates.
Now there's gonna be a white folks right now listening and be like, these Negro. No, I do not believe this. These are conspiracy theories. These are
They're all theories.
theories. They're just theories. I actually do not subscribe to that idea. I was listening to Bill Clarkson recently, and he said a great point, and I think this is true, is
And who's
because he is. Oh, you don't know about Bill? Wow. So he is so far the one person talking about anarchy, and he actually goes around the world and actually goes to these different pyramids. He's found different pyramids. He studies the structures of a lot of
say his name again?
Bill Clarkson.
Oh, okay. And
Yeah,
there's
black guy, big into science and stuff like that. But he reads a lot of ancient texts. And he is just I like a lot of his work, and I do actually agree with his statement about, like, because I've thought about this. I'm like, well, after studying the anarchy myself, it's like, okay, these pyramids were defaced, and some of these evidence has shown that it was done prior to Christianity and colonization. So who actually was it? If it wasn't the white folk, who was out here doing it, and what was the reason why? His theory was that this one king actually, once he realized he wanted to push the monotheism into the world and be the only god, um, he pushed that narrative and had to basically destroy any other evidence of any of the other gods' reputation and their work on Earth. Um, but it's interesting to think about it, because technically, and he said it himself too, and I agree with this too. We kind of evolve a little too fast, and I've always thought about that, color wise and stuff like that. So something had, like, it takes a long time for you to move on. Like, even if black people went to the Caucasus, colored people went to the Caucasus Islands, and then they mutated, or there was a group of people that mutated, it takes a really long time.
It's a lot of generations and mixing, and
yeah. And number wise, it happened a little too fast.
Right.
A little too fast. So there has to be, in that theory, it makes sense to me, there has to be some type of manipulation, because all the technology we're doing, think about AI and genetics, that's happening too fast. So, like, who has that information and who's slowly giving that information out?
Well, do you think it is happening too fast?
It's way too fast.
But what about, like, the exponential,
I think that's where
nature of learning?
Like, I think that's where it falls into the whole, the whole New World Order thingy. So honestly, you don't know who could be behind that whole. It could very much well be one of the Anunnaki that wants to push that whole
all right
thing.
So that brings me
everything his way.
Before we go, I have two questions for you, and you just brought me to one of them, but I want to ask the both of you first. So say that there is this Anunnaki, haha, that was a joke, because gnocchi is a noodle.
You're funny.
Say that was true, and then what does that do to your belief in a higher power?
Nothing.
Nothing, because we all come from something. There is a source of consciousness. Say this is the source. This is God.
Yep.
This is where we come from. We are all pieces of that one consciousness simultaneously living and experiencing human life for that piece of consciousness. And then when we die, we go back to it. That's the same as going to heaven, going to
Yeah.
Valhalla, going to wherever and reaching enlightenment. We go back to our source. So whether or not it was the Anunnaki, whether or not it was, we don't even know. I don't place a gender on God. I don't place religion and rules. I just believe that we're here to spread love and get back home. That's literally what we're supposed to do.
We are creatures right now, in my opinion, and everything what she said is we're here to increase the frequency. So when I say everything is moving too fast, is because the frequency has not reached its point. We're not there yet, right? We are still we're still crawling. We're babies, right? Like higher beings, higher species look at the entire species as one. There is no such thing as, oh, well, it's color. And if there is, those species are not developed well enough. So for us to reach the true enlightenment, which I personally do, this is why I'm okay. I don't share my opinions with regular people, sleepy people, all of this stuff like that. I'm very careful about this, is that I don't look at Melinda or yourself as separate beings from me. You're connected to me as I am connected to you. Even if we're on this computer screen, there's still a frequency bouncing off each other.
Absolutely.
Right?
There's definitely a vibrational exchange.
Exactly. So it's my decision. I met a new person, a new woman. It's my decision to say, how am I going to interact with her frequency? Am I going to bring her into my frequency or give and heighten it to see where her value is at? And if she is on the same wave as me, where we can increase our own frequency, or am I so sleepy and tired that I'm going to go into somebody's life and pull their frequency down so that they're not seeing the things that they need to see. And that's the problem with our species, is that we have people that's saying, hey, your color, background, your religion. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in and I'm going to give you love. I'm going to ask for these things in favor for myself, for my development. And I'm going to give this to you for your development so that we both have the proper education for this life. So when we transform into another body or another reincarnation, because truthfully, in my opinion, and I do really believe this, reincarnation is a real thing. And all I believe is that we just leave this world, because I have no attention to this body. I don't really care.
So I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
So you're talking about meeting a partner that you're going to decide to spend a life together to increase the value of each other's frequency. And so my question to you,
it's not life partner, it's all people.
Is a sleep number bed an antidote to that whole thing?
Ask that question again.
Is a sleep number bed an antidote to that whole thing?
Only if you want to stay in that bed and not get up and do no work. At the end of the day, we have a lot of contracts with each other, and I truly think this, because I'm just coming more aware, and I'm just going to start saying it out loud to people. Whatever my contract with you or anybody else, and I might even have met Melinda today and realize and have a connection with her and be like, oh, I know you from somewhere. The whole point is that we're creatures of energy. You leave, you may just go back, you might come back and be like, hey, I might sign a new contract with somebody else and say, I need to come back here and build the frequency up again. And that to me is an honorable mission. I'm okay with death if I'm increasing the frequency of my people coming back, helping you out, making sure you're good, and then going back. So it makes no sense to argue with color. That's why I find it funny as a Black man right now to talk about these things, because in my real reality, my real frequency, I may just come back as a white woman. I don't know. And I have to do work as a white woman. It doesn't matter at the end of the day.
So do you anticipate being a Karen or no, not a Karen?
Well, here's the thing. Your spirit never changes, right? So who I am is always going to be who I am. It's just a body, ladies and gentlemen. So it's just I can have a penis or a vagina. It does not matter. I can be Indian, white. I might come back as a Jew next life. I might come as a Muslim. It does not matter. The point is, are we increasing this frequency or are we just destroying the frequency? That's all it is. Who are we
Yep.
giving power to?
Some of us are healers, some of us are teachers, and some of us are here to learn.
That's it.
And I feel like the more you're gonna keep yourself in a lower vibration, the more you're gonna keep coming back having a hard, low vibrational life until you take that step to learn. And it's the same with I feel like other religions kind of have the same kind of view too. We're here, like in Christianity, we're here to do God's work and go to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, he does send us back. We're new people, but that's where that saying "you're an old soul" comes from.
Yes,
because we've been here so many times. We have been here so many times, and people don't realize that. And when we leave the shell and we go, when we leave this third dimension and go vibrate into another higher dimension, we go back to the source.
always goes
whatever
back
it
to
is.
it.
We remember everything. We remember
people
everything.
don't believe us. Look up some sleep hypnotizers when people talk about their death experiences and their past life regression. Look it up. There's hundreds, so many writings about past life, like so many evidence of other people telling you, I was this, I was that, I was this, and they're describing their last moments in their last life. It's constantly being documented.
I should look into that because that sounds
I actually have meditation, past life meditations that I do.
That I have to start doing that because right now I'm more so on. I'm still, shadow work is always gonna happen, but I'm more so.
I haven't gotten into my shadow work yet.
It's a journey.
Shadow work?
It's more so just dealing with what makes you have your negative side to you.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's getting
like
over trauma.
Young shadow work.
Well, it's more so. It doesn't matter what age you do shadow work.
Yeah. Whatever.
No,
like if
I
you
meant
have anger,
Jung, the psychiatrist Young, that talks about the shadow. Is that what you're referring to?
No.
Okay.
No.
I have to look up what you're talking about, but no, more so shadow work is just really just working on yourself. Okay, why am I always angry? Why am I always depressed? Why am I always anxious? And it's why do I have these triggers? What can I do to become a better person and start, vibrating higher, spreading more love?
Your relationship, cutting off certain negativities and people. It's understanding it's like getting you focused into the mission instead of like worrying about your past problems as much and keeping those chains around you, freeing yourself basically.
It's definitely, it's working on yourself to the fullest extent. And then that also comes with inner child healing. It comes with also healing your chakras too, because you gotta heal all parts of your body. That means you gotta heal your energy, where your energy comes from, and with all energies.
Writing is a lot of writing too, which is great because a lot of people that do it, they see the flaws in themselves, and you see people come back and they're like, yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I need to work on this, and they feel better. And it also helps you manifest the things you actually want.
Amen.
Absolutely.
So there's one more thing I wanna play for you, and then we will wrap up the show.
I was really enjoying this. We can go for 3 hours.
I know. We will have to do this
Actually,
again.
before you put that on, Mo,
what's up?
I have my friend that I tell you does a podcast. He actually is doing like a quote unquote male versus female thing. And he was asking me to bring somebody on board. I honestly think you got some really good views and we can get up on that.
Oh, let's go. All right, hit me up. You got my number.
Absolutely. We're gonna work on it.
Let's do it. We're gonna work on it. Oh God. Here we go.
I honestly think you would be perfect for that because it sounds like it sounds like a good time.
Oh man. All right, where's your last thing? I got a opportunity on this show. Thank you.
All right. Well, you guys can text each other through that the group.
Okay.
All right. So this guy right here is Judge Napolitano. I don't know if you've ever listened to him before. He used to be a Fox contributor. He's a libertarian, and he has some really good people on his show.
Yeah.
So I listen to him on Spotify. He's on YouTube. So he does these commercial spots. And I'm just going to start off by looking at the judge. I don't know how old the judge is, but I know he's probably has a few years on me. And I'm going to just say I'm not mad at the judge. And I just want to play you what he what he is advertising now on his show. All right. I think there's going to be a little of the show when I start this, but here we go.
He did that. He didn't mention Colombia by name, but he chastised the American next day. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol on college campuses.
Okay.
Let's face it, as you get older, after a night with drinks, you don't bounce back the next day like you used to. Thanks to Z-Biotics, you don't have to make the choice of having a great night or a great next day. Z-Biotics pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink alcohol, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is this.
I love that this is the first time you ever heard of this product. It's so funny to hear you be like, go like this is great. Yes.
I mean, this is absolutely hilarious. I'm just like all the things going on in the world, and I hear a commercial for a product that we really put our heads together. We really dedicated ourselves to this research so that you and Judge Napolitano won't feel like beep the next day after drinking.
Oh my God.
That made me laugh the first time I heard it, and I had to play it on the show. You've heard that before?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had never heard it before.
Honestly,
I've never got to use it yet. Continue.
Yeah, honestly, my life hack on that if I want to drink and I don't want to feel anything the next day, honestly, just chase your shots with Gatorade, Powerade, anything with
Really?
electrolytes. Oh,
That's
yeah.
what you do?
Yeah, I cleared like 2 bottles and I was great. And then when I woke up the next day, I went right to work. Great.
Really? I've never tried it like that. I try to do the bread. None of that works for me. The stuff
No.
I chunk it right out.
You have to. A lot of the reason why we don't even feel good the next day is because we're really dehydrated and we probably didn't eat good. So even if you don't eat good, as long as you're really good, like very hydrated, you're fine. I always have to, if I'm not chasing it with electrolytes, I at least before the night ends, I gotta chug down a Powerade or Body Armor, like something along that lines, and then I'm great in the morning.
You know what? That's what I'm doing tonight.
Let me know how that works out.
So we end the show the same way every time with a prayer. So let us pray. That Father God, I just want to thank you that Melinda and Mo and I could come together this afternoon. And that, God, I ask that you watch over the both of them, that you watch over their families, and that, God, that you consider their goals, their wants, and desires. And I pray that it matches up with your will. So, God, we continue to pray for peace in this world, and we continue to pray for the end of violence. And that, God, we look to you for our hope. We look to you for our strength. And that I pray this afternoon in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Peace.
Amen.
Peace to all.
Good night.